Pleasure to be here. David, thanks for the invitation. I appreciate it. So what we're going to talk about is customer service. Adding value to people to attract customers and to keep good customers. And so I want to tell you a story about two companies. The first company, company number one, at their peak, had $6 billion in sales, over 60,000 employees. Company number two was a startup company. They took a look at company number one and said, you know, we see the things that are trending. We hear what those people's customers are saying. Let's put some of let's put some of those trends and what they're saying into our company model. So they did that. Company one had the opportunity to buy company number two, but they chose not to. Fast forward 7 years later, company number one, who was doing $6 billion in sales, is now doing $0 in sales, and they're declared bankruptcy. Company number two is doing $70 billion in sales. They have 75 million monthly subscribers. Anybody want to venture a guess who those two companies are? Company number one, Blockbuster. They started in 1985. Everybody remembers going to Blockbuster, right? Getting your movies. They didn't listen to their customers. They didn't take a look at the trends. Company number two did. As of January 2018, Netflix has 108 million monthly subscribers. Whenever they listen to their customers, all right? That's what we do. If we want to get good at customer service, listening to what our customers have to say, we're pretty smart for doing that, because that's private consultation right there. You're getting good feedback from your customers. So in 1996, I had a 2-year-old, a 1-year-old, and I was 7 months pregnant with my third baby. And because I didn't have enough to do, I decided to launch a business at that point. And what I started was Creative Memories, and it was to teach people how to organize their family photos, get them in albums that didn't turn them yellow, and teaching people how to document their stories so that generations would have them. And so this company that I worked for, we're taking a look at it, and after about 5 years with this company, they hadn't done any sales training, which was good for me because I had to dig it down into the trenches and get the sales thing figured out. And so I had to come up with a lot of sales techniques because none of us in this company at the time were trained in sales. None of us knew. We just knew we loved these photo albums and we loved this product. And so we were selling this product because we absolutely loved it. So I got these sales techniques and I got this figured out and I built up a pretty large business, so much so that I had some other larger companies take a look at what I was doing with my organization and saying, hey, whatever you're doing, can you come and teach our people? Because you must be doing something right because it's good. And so I did that for free for a couple times. And then one day it dawned on me after about 2 or 3 of these things. And I'm thinking, geez, this is like my stuff. I developed this stuff. I was in the trenches digging the dirt with this stuff. I need to get it copyrighted. So back then, in 2000, I started to write books and CDs and e-courses and all that kind of stuff that would be able to help these customers that I had. And it was a good transition because the company that I was working with, which was Creative Memories, they were not looking at the trends. They were not listening to their customers. Everything was going digital. And just like Blockbuster, we ended up with a company that declared bankruptcy. Thankfully, I was out and moved on to having my own company at that point. But again, a company that didn't listen, didn't look at trends, didn't look at their customers and what they wanted, what they were requesting. Like Snapfish now, you get all the photos on your phone now, and you can just upload 30 of them, and it comes to you in a book now. Creative Memories could have been on the cutting edge of some of that stuff. So listening to our customers is important. I like to work out. I don't like to go to a gym. I like to work out in my own time. So if I have at 6 o'clock in the morning time or if I have 10 o'clock at night time. But one of the things that I started, probably whenever Beachbody started, they had DVDs. And I bought DVDs, Chalene Extreme, because I love Chalene Johnson. So I bought all of her DVDs. So I don't know, it was about 8 months ago. And I have all these DVDs, 3 different separate courses. And so my daughter says about 8 months ago, hey, Mom, here's my password. get in here and log on to Beachbody. I'm like, well, so what are they doing? She's like, you can tap into every single workout program, and there's like hundreds of them. I'm like, really? So she gave me her password, $99 membership a year to stream it, have all this stuff just come into their computer. So I'm like, oh man, Hannah, this is awesome. Like, this is great. All right, so here's another company that did go out of business. They looked at their trends. At first when they started, I'm buying their DVDs. Now I'm buying their membership, their subscriptions. They listened to their customers. They saw the trends. They're up on social media, #BOD, Beachbody On Demand. They launched in 1998. They have over 800 employees, 350,000 coaches, because this is like the new Amway. I don't know if you were ever cornered by, family and friends with Amway. You just want to poke your eyes out. Over 23 million customers they have and over $1 billion in sales. This is a company that listened to their customers and looked at the trends. So 3 keys. We're not going to dig down, go down in the trenches and dig real deep here, because this is a lot of hours worth of training. But I do hope at the end of this customer service training, you will have some nuggets, you'll have some meat that you can go back and you can apply to your business. Because if I don't give you something like that, we've pretty much wasted our time. And so you will get some value. That's what my goal is, to give you some value so you can put some legs on it and make it run when you get back to your businesses. So number 1, we've talked about let your customers lead you. That's good customer service. That's listening to your customers, what they want. Asking good questions. So let's continue on. Let me go back, because these are the 3, and you're going to get a handout. I will give this to you. You have that in front of you that have some of the key points, so you can go back and remember it. Number 2, asking the skill of asking good questions, and that is a skill to learn, and you can pull an awful lot of information out of people if you get really skilled at asking good questions. And then number 3, adding value. When you add value to your customers through your business, through your product, through your service, there's what's called the law of reciprocity, and we'll talk a little bit about that. And then here's the thing. It's not satisfactory anymore to just have satisfied customers. You've got to get satisfied customers from point A to point B, which is loyal customers. Because of social media and the way things have changed, just being a satisfied customer, it's really hard for that customer to post on social media and blast you for something and leave right away. So what the goal is try to develop loyal customers. So let your customers lead you. This is a business that I helped. It's called Whipped. It's a bakery. It did not launch yet. So we are kind of tempting people's taste buds with what they have to offer. And so it's a mom and a daughter business. And so she came in and she said, can you help me? And I said, yeah, okay, so let's brainstorm some things and let's see what are you going to offer and what do you think your customers are going to want? And she said, well, I'm not really sure. I said, well, do you have pictures and do you have things? Her daughter's the baker. She is also, but her daughter had all of these pictures because she's getting ready to graduate from the American Culinary Institute, whatever it's called, in New York. And she said, oh yeah, part of her grade is to make this really yummy looking tasty stuff and then take great pictures of it. So I said, send me a bunch of pictures. Send me at least 10 pictures. She had her logo. I said, I'll throw that up on a website or on Facebook. This is the power of social media. And so I threw that up along with some pictures and watched it. And in a matter of 2 hours of watching this and people clicking on all those pictures and the feedback and people were sharing and more people were seeing it and this person was commenting, this person was liking this. And in a matter of 2 hours, that had hit 12,000 people. In a matter of 48 hours, she hit 28,000 people. And so we came back and we talked about it. I said, Tammy, take a look at this. This is your pre-launch. This is your launch. This is how you need to start your business. You can click on those pictures and you can see what people are getting excited about. Okay, they're not getting real excited about the bread, but they are getting really excited about the fruit tart. And look which fruit tart, and look, and they're leading you and they're guiding you because you're starting to see questions that are coming from your customers like, are you providing gluten-free? Do you have any sugar-free stuff? All that kind of diet stuff. And so that one Facebook post that we did for her launched her into, wow, okay, a little bit of a focus of this is what I know I need to do with my business. Social media is a powerful, powerful, powerful tool. It can also be a negative tool because everybody's bold behind a computer screen, aren't they? way bolder than what it would be for me to come to you and say, it was really bad service. Nobody does that. They get on Facebook and they start ripping off the mouth and saying, I didn't like this. This was one of my Facebook friends. And so she goes out to eat a lot. And this one particular restaurant, she patronizes all the time. But she had a bad experience. What's kind of disheartening is she didn't seek out the business owner. But that's not the day and age we live in anymore. They just want to go right here to Facebook. And so she said, we have always, and this is going out to all of her friends. She probably has, 1,000 people as friends. And this is what went out to all of her friends on Facebook. We have always had great service prior to tonight's trip. We left this evening after being seated because no one came to take our drink order or to check on us. I even got up from my table asking the staff if they were going to take our order. The wait staff tonight was terrible. They were too busy talking, and maybe they felt if they ignored us that we would probably just go home. We arrived at 8:35 p.m. I hope the owner is made aware. Instead of that person going to the owner, this isn't how business is done anymore. Our family has always patronized their business, and you can see all the people then that started to react to it because it's just one of those bad apples that just everybody starts to feed into it then. Now, some of this stuff, I will tell you how I handle it on my Facebook page. If I have control over deleting somebody's negative comments, I do. You have no business putting anything negative on my positive page. I will delete it if I have the ability to be able to do that. I read it, but if it's constructive, I'll take it to heart and say, maybe they have a point. But most of the time, it's people just griping, and there's no validity to it, and it's just people have nothing else better to do. They're miserable in their lives. They want to make everybody else miserable. I don't know. And so, however, there are ratings now. This is how you're rated, right? You're rated, and you have no ability to be able to delete or change that. So if you have a business where you are rated, and you have something negative that happens like this, first of all, if I were a business owner, if I were this business owner and I read this, I'd be going back to my staff and saying, you know what, we need to have a chat. Because obviously there was some poor service that night, and this is valid. And so that needs to be corrected. But if you have a service business where you can reply to somebody's negative comment, all right, if I couldn't delete this, I would respond as a business owner by saying, gee, really, I am so sorry you had that problem. Come back in, call me when you're coming, and your meal is complimentary for you and your family. Up to 8 people, 10 people, I don't know. I'd give the farm away that day just to save this customer who apparently is a good customer. And they're saying they're a good customer. How do you make that right? You've got to respond to that negativity. If you responded then, all of her friends are going to see that, and that's going to help to change the tone. You can't not respond to negativity. You've got to be on top of it. And so if you don't have time to kind of scour your Facebook page and your social media to see what people are saying, get some people out there who do have some time, retired people. Who's the retiree who's bugging his wife? Yes, I would corner him and save his wife from, yes. What? Yes. Yeah, exactly. So corner him and say, listen, can you troll my Facebook page for negativity and let me know if something pops up or whatever. And so with my Facebook page, I do have some people who love what we do. And one woman in particular, she's always on Facebook. I think she just lives by that thing. It's glued to her hand. And she's always posting, and she looks out for me. We did an event on Saturday, and prior to that, there was somebody who was complaining about it and said, the last one I bought tickets for, blah, blah, blah. And she texted me right away, and she said, do you know this person? I said, I don't know who it is. And she said, well, go check out his Facebook page. Well, I couldn't find it. And I said, send me the link or send me a picture of it. And so she sent it to me, and I could read all the comments that were going on. And again, it was somebody who posted something that was negative, and then everybody started to feed into that negativity. And so I don't need to do anything as far as training her. She jumped on it right away, and she says, well, let me explain to you. And so this is what this person does. She trolls my Facebook page, and if there's anything that comes up that's negative, she takes care of it. And she'll say, hey, listen, sorry that happened. We'll do better. Or, listen, that's not a very valid complaint, and here's why. And so good to have somebody like that on your team. Again, if you are getting some positive feedback, let people know that through social media also. Post it. If you have ratings, 37 signals, customer support happiness report, throw that up there. This company has 87% said they're great. So throw that out and let people see that. Skill of asking good questions. If you want to really dig in and provide some good customer service, depending on what kind of business you have, I was watching a video that popped up the other day, and it almost reminded me a little bit of a farm bureau, because this farmer was coming in and he had some dogs, and he was buying some dog food from this supply place. And the customer service rep, the guy came in and he said, hey, I need to buy some dog food. Well, instead of saying, hey, it's on aisle 3, the customer service rep said, well, what kind of dog do you have? And the guy said, well, I have a lab. Well, do you hunt with the lab, or what do you do with your lab? And so he got that information. He said, well, so what are you looking at for a price point? And the guy said, well, I want cheap. He said, well, do you want everyday cheap, or do you want like cheap at the beginning? And so they went back and forth. It was just, a 2-minute conversation of asking some really good questions. So now that this guy can point him to aisle 3, second shelf, right there's what you want. And he did the sale, and that's good customer service if you have the ability to do that. And so last week I had an email from the Omni Bedford Springs Resort, of course, our great resort that we have in our backyard, called me and they said, hey, we have Alcoa is coming in for a conference. They have 45 people, and while they're here for a span of 2 or 3 days, they want to do some charity work. Can you help them? Well, I started to fire away some questions because that's pretty loose-ended. Can you help them? I said, well, do they all want to stay together, or all 45 working? What kind of charity they want? And the guy's like, yeah, I'm going to take myself out of this conversation and let you talk to my secretary. So I started to talk to the secretary, and I started to fire the questions to her. What kind of charity are they looking at? Do they care if they're split up? Do I have to keep all of them together? She's like, yeah, I'm going to give you to the company owner. So I started to go back to the company owner, and we started to go back and forth with these questions. It's going to come back on me if I don't do a good job servicing these people, because I need to know what they want. You want to do charity work? What do you want to work for a food bank? Do you want to put up banners for me? What do you want to do? Just tell me what you want to do, and I'll plug you in. And so we got some really, really good information. Now when they come, they're going to have 100% great experience, because I took the time to figure out, what do you want? And then I'll do the back work to get them plugged into where they need to be. Skill of asking questions, that's a whole day's training worth in itself. If you get really good at it, good things happen. So engaging your customers in conversation and asking additional questions. This is a lady, she has a business called Beverly's Touch of Class. And she came to me, probably a month ago, and she said, if I don't do something really fast, my business is going to die. She's in the bridal industry, and that whole industry is just changing. Talk about looking at Blockbuster and looking at trends and trying to figure out how I can reinvent myself, or what I can do to keep up with all the purchases that are going on online. So we started to talk, and in the course of the conversation and asking her some questions, she mentioned to me, she said, there's I said, well, what other stuff can you do? Because she's extremely talented. I said, well, what other stuff can you do? She said, there was a bride about a month ago who wanted me to be on site. I said, well, what does she want you to be on site for? She said, in case her zipper broke or button broke or bustling. And I'm thinking, yes, that's the answer. I said, you know what, Bev, you just launched yourself a whole nother business. You can sell stuff out of your storefront, but you are a consultant. And you know what those brides are going to buy from you as a consultant? And she said, well, they're going to buy, my time. And I said, you know what? No, they're going to pay you a lot of money for peace of mind. Who would think, when you're getting married, like, who thinks about a busted zipper and what am I going to do about that? Or the tux I just put in is all wrinkly, or it doesn't fit, and what am I going to do at the last minute? Or these dresses are all wrinkly. So she has launched now a consulting company. She still has her storefront, and she can still access and do everything that she's doing there, but she's going to survive because we dug down in with some questions and figured out how can we make her not just survive, but thrive. So the law of reciprocity, and I love this, and I've got to tell you, I've got two great people here today, and they know the law of reciprocity, although they don't operate like that at all. Maybe they don't even know the law of reciprocity. I don't know. This is Charlie McClanahan and Josiah, and they're my videographers, but they have their own business. And so they just launched, and I got to tell you about them because they just added so much value yesterday. They have a business that they just launched called Adapt Creative Company. And so what they did is, and they're experts at social media, so what they did, they were doing photography, and they used one of our buildings in downtown Bedford that was just renovated, and it's just a cool place, old brick walls that were exposed, that they could offer people a portrait. So what they did is they threw it out on Facebook, and they said, hey, listen, come between the hours of noon and 6 p.m., this was yesterday, in this location, and we will take a professional photo for you for your profile picture on Facebook and Instagram and wherever you want to use it. I don't know, how many people do you guys have? They were streaming in and out all day. Yeah, okay, so that was free. So what they're smart about then, they collected the email address because they're not going to send the picture. You got to get the picture sent somewhere, right? So they captured everybody's names and their email address, fired those off, and what did I see last night as I was scrolling down through Facebook? Hey, Charlie, Josiah, thanks, love my profile picture, and all these profile pictures that look awesome that were created by adding value as a free service that people now know about Charlie and Josiah. They do trainings now. And do you think those people who got that free thing now, because here's what happens. Whenever you do something for somebody, whether it's you offer them something free or you go out of your way to do something for that person, it's psychological, it's innate in us. We want to return the favor. And sometimes we return the favor even more than what was given back to us. So that's the law of reciprocity. It's a powerful thing. Rackspace was really good at it. This is one of my favorite examples. So Rackspace is a cloud-based, it organizes all your computer stuff on the cloud. Go figure how all that works. My brain doesn't work like that. I just wonder about all of it. So Rackspace, there was a company that was on tech support with Rackspace. And it was this long, drug-out thing. And the tech support guy heard the person on the phone with them say, geez, I'm really hungry, saying to somebody in the background. This Rackspace tech support person called up the pizza place that was close to this place, had a pizza delivered, and in half an hour there was a knock on the door. And so when they heard the knock on the door or the doorbell rang or whatever, the Rackspace tech support guy said, hey, go answer that. It's a pizza that I had delivered for you. Now, law of reciprocity, like I'm on the tech, and you know what it's like being on tech support? Like talk about put pins in your eyes. You'd rather put pins in your eyes. And so do you think that this person who was on there that got this pizza is going to recommend Rackspace? That was good customer service, which could have been a yucky situation in some cases like that. But this person nailed it when they said, I'll buy you a pizza. That's cheap customer service. That's added value. You know what I love about customer service too is you can do things that don't cost you and don't mess up your bottom line a whole lot if it's high perceived value to somebody and doesn't cost a whole lot out of your pocket. I love this too. There's a restaurant experience study done by the Journal of Applied Social Psychology researchers, and I love this because they had a control group. And this was a wait staff, okay? So we're in a restaurant, you have a control group who got no mints at the end of their meal. Control group number 1 got mints and the check. Nothing else was said. The tips for that wait staff increased by 3%. The second control group, and this was all the same service, okay? Nothing was deviating other than the mint. And so control group number 2 gave the mint, said, would you like a mint? Then gave the check. That control group, because they mentioned about the mint, would you like a mint? Their tips increased by 14%. Get this last one. The control group number 3 gave the mint, gave the check, left, came back before the table left and said, would you like some more mints before you leave? And because of that, those tips increased by 21%. Amazing. Law of reciprocity, right? A simple little mint. That was it. So let's just review, just real quick. Let your customers lead you. Listen to what they're saying. All right, some of it's valid, some of it's not, just complainers and whiners, and you can sort that out because you all know them. Ask good questions. Poke around. Get curious. Find out. So one of my favorite stores, I do have to tell you, is Home Depot. Like some women like shoes, I love tools. I can't get enough tools. I would rather have a big tool shed than a kitchen. And so when I go to Home Depot, like they ask me good questions, like, what's your project? What are you building? We can help you with that. I'm like, yes, I love Home Depot. And so, in adding value, law of reciprocity, 2 questions to ask yourself. How can you create a culture that's all about the customer? All right, it's got to be about them. And how can you figure out what really matters to your customers? And I want to tell you just one other thing too, because you've got to equip your people. Everybody in your company should be customer service minded. And I'm going to tell you why, because how frustrating is it for you when you're trying to solve a problem and the person that you're working with doesn't have the ability to solve that problem for you. And I will tell you, that just happened to me not so long ago, okay? I bought a new phone. I had it. I started to make some calls. And my mom was the first one who said, my mom said, you sound like you're talking in a well. I said, well, it sounds real staticky to me. Well, I had the next 5 people say the same thing. So I called up the store that I bought it from, which is 10 minutes away, and I said, I think you sold me a defective phone. I want to swap it out. They're like, yeah, we can't take care of that. You've got to go to the nearest Apple store. All right, well, I'll know where the nearest Apple store is from Bedford? Pittsburgh somewhere. And so they said, well, we can't help you, which is fine. I like the guys. They help us, so whatever. And so he said, you're going to have to call tech support. You're going to have to call Apple. I'm like, okay, so I called Apple. Get the guy on the phone. Keep in mind, this is a 12-hour phone. I had this thing for 12 hours. I made like 6 phone calls. And so the kid on the phone told him what my problem was, and I said, before I did that, I said, listen, I did every diagnosis that you're going to tell me to do, so don't even waste my time. I turned it off, I turned it back on 1,000,000 times. I did this, I reset it, don't even ask me to do all that stuff. I said, what do I need to do? I just want to swap out the phone. He's like, well, you got to go to, the nearest store. I said, do you want to know where the nearest store is? It's an hour and a half away. He's like, well, I'm sorry, I don't know what else to tell you. I said, listen, if you were me and you just told, I just told you got to do a 3-hour round trip to go get a phone that's 12 hours old, what would you say? He said, I wouldn't like that too much. I said, yes, no, I don't like that either. He said, okay, well, you can send it. You just have to pay $30 to send it back. I said, what? He said, I can't. I said, I want you to waive that fee for me. He said, well, I can't do that. I said, you can't, but somebody there can. And that's who I want to talk to right now. And so that person came on, very apologetic. She solved the problem in a matter of 2 minutes. I had my phone sent, no cost, and I was getting a new phone. Why didn't they equip that guy to take care of my problem before I got really frustrated and thinking, Apple, I'm about ready to ditch you, all right? So you want to equip your people, and I got to tell you, one of the best companies that equips their people is Ritz-Carlton. Ritz-Carlton gives every single one of their employees, down to the housekeeper, a budget of $2,000 per day to solve a customer's problem. So if you have a problem, I have $2,000 to make you happy. So keep that in mind when you go to Ritz-Carlton.